Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the world of RaceFace. Here for TCR Round 3 of the RaceFace TCR Challenge and, well, Season 3, Round 1. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have everyone here. We're in for a really exciting evening of some fun-filled racing. I've got to say, I'm really looking forward to it. My name is Stephen Koenig, and welcome to the scene. All right, as our drivers are making their way onto the track, we're going to be kicking off with qualifying for round 1. Gotta say, super excited to see how it's all going to go and who will be able to claw their way to the top this evening. And it looks like my live timing is acting a bit funny. We'll get that up and going for you guys at home. So once again, do apologize for the technical difficulties right at this moment. I'll get it all fired up and get going. So, round 1. We're here at Rudskogen Motorsenter in Norway. Absolutely fantastic circuit. Gotta say, really looking forward to seeing how the drivers are going to handle it. Personally, a circuit that I find rather challenging, but others find it to be a bit of fun that they can go and power their way around the circuit. Gotta say, it's going to be a very interesting race indeed. And we'll have to see how the drivers are going to handle this tight and twisty circuit. Moment looks like we are experiencing some technical difficulties. I do apologize for that. We will endeavor to get it sorted out for the start of qualifying. There we go. Timing table finally up and going as we get racing. I'll get with our qualifying. So we have got different classes racing with us this evening. Gotta say, really looking forward to it. We have got 24 drivers out on the circuit. We've got Hilton Nixon. He's out in our Pro-Am class. Chase Herald, Noah Hendricks, who are in the pits. They are part of our Pro class. Nico Killerman, Timothy Stanton, Yuri Umpi Swart, he's back out in the Durant Motorsport machine in our Pro class. Then we got Fani Gravenstein. Good to have Fani racing with us. He is racing in our Pro-Am class. First time been put on the board, Roland Ferreira getting the first lap time out there, hoping to continue it. A 132. We did see drivers start getting down into the 128s a little bit earlier this evening in practice, which we are fully expecting to see the drivers start doing it. Peter Hubert coming in with a 130.5, so already putting himself 2 seconds quicker. Then we got Fani, who comes across the line. So it is now getting thick and fast here at Rudskogen for round 1 of our RaceFace TCR Championship Season 3. Gotta say, it's going to be a fun one indeed to see what the drivers will be able to do. Werner Swart going and moving himself up and being first in the Pro-Am class, hoping that he can carry the momentum through at the moment. Currently lying 4th overall, hoping to improve his lap time and show off what he can do. Here at Rudskogen, Robbie Teen's getting a little bit quicker. He's picking up the pace to try and bring himself a little bit closer to Yuri Umpi Swart, who so far put in the fastest lap time of 129.089. Johan Fourie tailing him in second place. Johan Fourie is our 2-time champion in the TCRs, and it's good to see him back out there having a bit of fun and hoping to claw his way through. Willem Buerta also lying in third place, Peter Hubert. Roland Ferreira is still first of our Pro-Ams, followed by Hilton Nixon, Robbie Teens, Werner Swart. Yuri Swart Sr. is out on the circuit. And then we got Farney Gravestein, who's now just dropped down to 11th place as James Pepper moves himself up and going and making his name known all the way out from the UK. Good to see him out there. And I do believe his father, Steve Pepper, is going to be joining out on the circuit as well, which is always good to see the Pepper family. So as it stands, our drivers really focusing on a hard charge at the moment. A couple of new drivers joining us as well. Vidasi Stalgaard coming all the way from Scandinavia, having a bit of fun out on the circuit. He's hoping to go and move his way around and get a little bit more pace. Doesn't look as settled as the rest of our drivers. Nico Kilman a little bit further down. Noah Hendricks still trying to get the hang of the TCR, and Chase Herald also was a late entry, but hoping to pick up. Now see over into our grandstands, Gabriel Dos Santos saying quite sad that he can't race for round one, as he's got a whole lot of commitments that he needs to complete first. Well, Gabriel, it's sad to have you not here, but at the same time, glad to have you joining us this evening, being a part of Season 3 of our RaceFace TCR Championship. And I know you're also part of the guys that were wondering whether we can actually show different classes. Well, just for a bit of fun, let's see if we can show it. There we go. Our Pro and our Pro-Am. Finally got it working. Sort of. Hope it doesn't explode. That's all I can say. So we're hoping to have a bit of fun here, and that is currently of our classes that are racing out on the circuit at the moment. But since they're all qualifying at the same time, really taking a look at it. Keep an eye on Dino Sturman. Dino is one of the characters we want to keep an eye on. He arrived suddenly with our F4 category last season and was incredibly quick in his pace. He's hoping to move himself and get himself a little bit all the way through. Then we've got Stefan, who is in 11th place. Robbie Teens going and putting himself into 5th place as he launches his way up through the field. Very, very good to see. Like Johan Fourie is out in 1st place with a 128.4, followed by Yuri Umpiswat, 128.6. Peter Hubert on 129.067. Willem Buerta with a 129.596. So you're really starting to see those 28s, 29s starting to roll in. Then the rest of the field very, very close with the 130s before we start moving a little bit further down with our 131s. And that is actually starting from Hilton Nixon down in 14th position with a 131. Yuri Swart Sr. trying to close down on him. Noah Hendricks hoping to also get a little bit more pace underneath him. Farney Gravestein going and launching his way up into 12th place. Arno Kraus, Steve Pepper, and Visay Skalgaard starting to fall down. 21 have so far set times. 3 cars still needing to put a lap time on the board, and there's Nico Killerman, Lewis Nokia, and Jeff Hancock are still battling at the moment to get themselves up and going. Gabriel saying, unfortunately, out for the season. Oh, that's rather unfortunate to hear. It's always nice to see you out on the track, but we look forward to your triumphant return that I'm sure will be coming in the future. It's always good to have Dos Santos going and having a bit of fun with us. But rather unfortunate, but fully understand that you need to sort out a few commitments. Will be joining us saying go Stalgrad, having a bit of fun out there, which is good to see. Werner Swart currently on screen at the moment for our backmarkers team. He's hoping to pick up the pace, lying 3rd in class at the moment, as Jeff Hancock now puts himself into 6th place and 1st in class. So our drivers all trying to pick up the hammer now and really set in those blistering lap times. Now, if for anyone that doesn't know how this works, we have got 2 heats of racing where it's 2 20-minute heats for our TCRs. It's open setups for the guys to have a bit of fun. so you can set your car up the way that you like it, how much fuel you want. But rest assured, you can burn all that fuel so quickly in a matter of seconds, and that will go and land up causing a bit of problems with how you do it. Also remember, they've got a standing start, so they're going to all have to wait until the lights go green, then get the hammer down and make sure they pull off absolutely perfectly so they don't lose out any time. But at the same breath of saying that, you can quite easily just go and accelerate and get yourself a drive. You can score yourself a penalty for a jump start. So that will be in the case of a stop-go penalty or drive-through, depending on what the sim goes and chooses to. So we've got some great action out here. Some phenomenal drivers, some of the best in the country going and doing battle, and with a variety of different cars that we got lined up this evening, from our Hondas, our Audis, all the ways to our Hyundais, going and having a bit of fun. It's good to see that the drivers are all looking to step it up and hope to really stand on the power, as we see everyone trying to just get those last minute lap times in, running out of qualifying time. James Pepper trying to utilize Johan Ferrie's pace. Ferrie, who is first of our pros, just giving a little bit of a slipstream, does come off the throttle and allow James Pepper to come through. Noah Hendricks, he's keeping on the back of Peter Hubert, just ahead of him. And Hubert hoping to keep up the pace. We saw some brilliant pace on Hubert for the last season. He was really fighting it up in the top three and was a championship contender. Johan Ferrie managed to get his championship, and one of his closest competitors, Yuri Umpiswat, who's currently putting in the fastest lap time of the race for the qualifying, 1:28.024, wasn't at the last race. So now he's hoping to try and really step up the pace and really close down onto it. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. Robbie Teens also looking to push himself forward, with Jeff Hancock's chasing him down. Both are in the Pro-Am class, with Timothy Stanton in the Pro-Am class trying to go after him as well. Hilton Nixon, he's been constantly working on the car, also getting some advice from fellow drivers. So he's hoping to really see where he's going to step into this, and utilizing a little bit of a tow at the moment, pulling himself along and hoping that that's just going to be enough to keep him going. But so far, if you look at the gaps in their lap times, each of the drivers are so close. First and second, only 0.2 of a second separation between the two of them. Then our third place, 1 second behind Peter Hubert, hoping to really step up the pace. But at the moment, we cannot forget that we have got two different classes that are racing. We've got our Pro class, we've got our Pro-Am class. They're hoping to really move their way forward. And Robbie Teens, who's leading out our Pro-Ams, is currently 7th place overall. So he's hoping to just get that little bit more pace, wants to start creeping into Pro, but he's got a lot of work ahead of him as he has to get closer to Chase Herald to go for that position and be able to move up. But at the moment, great starting position for his class. We'll have to see how it's all going to work out here at Rudskogen in Norway, Rudskogen Motorsenter. So, got a bit of support for our different drivers, and a big welcome to our drivers all around the world joining us, even to you guys, the spectators. Good to have you all going and joining us out in the grandstands here at RaceFace. Glad to have you around, and looking forward to seeing some amazing action and some amazing racing right here for RaceFace.Pro. James Pepper trying to utilize the slipstream off our defending champion Johan Ferrie, and at the moment seems to be working. He's just got to be very careful into turn 1 and turn 2. They are turning into a very difficult battle. We have also got Robert McCall jumping in to the grandstands and saying, how's it? I know Morgan was going to be racing this season, but due to unforeseen circumstances, he's unfortunately out, but we do look forward to seeing him coming in as well. So Robert, glad to have you here and looking forward to a bit of fun. So While we take a look at Rudskogen as he's powering his way through, lying in 9th place overall and 8th in class. He's hoping to just really ensure that he can climb up the ladder. But with the checkered flag out, it's either you're going to get the lap times in absolutely perfectly now, or you're going to lose out, and all the drivers just doing everything they can to ensure they can come across the line and see if they can climb up the ladder this evening. As you see, Peter Jabir, he's trying to give it everything he's got. Comes across the line. Did he improve? No. Still lying in 3rd place. Very, very difficult circuit to try and get past. Willem Buerta, he's also deciding he's out. Ferrari hoping to go and jump ahead of Yuri Umpi-Swart. Will this be enough? As he comes across the line, 128.2. Nope, he's going to have to sit in that 2nd place spot. Not being able to go and get ahead. Peter Jabir, Willem Buerta is just doing some testing starts. Luke Lucchesi, Rudskogen, Timothy Stanton. Looks like everyone has come across the line. Rudskogen goes and puts himself through in 19th position overall and 9th in class. So he's going to be rather happy with that. The backmarkers team going to be smiling on that result for their qualifying. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. For our qualifying, Jan Free, Yuri Swart, Dino Sturman, Luke Lucchesi, Chase Herald, all going to be lining up on the line. And also Peter Jubert, Willem Buerta, Noah Hendricks, Werner Swart, Werner Skuman, Steven Slav, Robbie Teens, Timothy Stanton, Nico Killerman, James Pepper, Roland Ferrer, Steve Pepper, Arno Kraus, Jeff Hancock, Hilton Nixon are looking to move their way up and hoping that they can get a little bit more momentum as they go. Farney Gravestein, Lewis Nokia, all having a bit of fun. They will be a little bit further behind. So, they've also got Visti Stalgrad in 23rd, 24th is Yuri Swart Senior. So, as our cars line up on the line, they will be getting ready to go. There is Ferrari starting in 2nd place. Yuri Umpi-Swart will be lining up. And now turn 1 is going to be on the eyes for every single one of these drivers as they look to push on to get that little bit more pace and hope that they will be able to go and claw their way to victory. And as we switch over to our classes, get ready to rock and roll as our cars all lining up. Peter Jubert lining himself in 3rd, Willem Buerta in 4th position, Chase Herald in 5th, Yuri Umpi-Swart in 1st, and then you got Luke Lucchesi down in 7th, then you got Robbie Teens, don't count him out, he's currently lying 8th overall, 1st in class. We'll be keeping an eye on Jeff Hancock's in 10th, which is 1 row behind him, and Timothy Stanton also looking to try and move his way through. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready to rock and roll, waiting for the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, and away we go. Everyone off to a launching start, trying to pull away. Just a little bit of a burn up. It does look like Peter Jubert off to a terrible start, dropping down the order and now having to play a little bit of catch up. It does look like Stephen trying to move himself up, and we'll have to keep an eye on it. Werner Skuman getting a little bit pushed out wide. He loses out to the likes of Dino Sturman, who is now on the hot chase right behind Luke Lucchesi. Peter Jubert still dropping down, not being able to get the pace he wants. Will lose out, as you can see, trying to get on the brakes. All the drivers having to turn and brake at the same time. That really unsteadies the cars as they fight their way through. Werner Skuman now trying to battle his way through, seeing Dino and the likes of Luke Lucchesi just ahead of him, fighting it out. Robbie Teens is right behind him. He has got Stephen chasing him down. Stephen is part of the... He's in 10th position, 9th in class. Jeff Hancock's trying to get the run up on him. Will be trying to go around the outside, but also defending away from Timothy Stanton, who looks to lock it up on the inside. Tries his best. Little bit of a close down, bumping and barging, but all case and rubbing. Oh, looks like a bit of contact with Noah Hendricks. And out the back, lots of the drivers getting caught up in the carnage. So we'll try and find out what happened there. But it looked like Noah Hendricks got caught out and went racing down the order. So let's go and take a look. This is from the rear cam perspective. And there's a bit of contact, and unfortunately, while he was slowing up, he had secondary contact, came back into the field, and while everyone was slowing out, they eventually landed up running into one another. So a couple of cars looking a little bit battered and beaten, drivers having to go back to the pits and get themselves sorted out. Thankfully, we do have the likes of our fast repairs, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. All the drivers now trying to get themselves going and fight their way through. A couple of drivers pulling into the pits, as we saw Tim the cameraman giving us that shot of it and hoping that he can just get a little bit more of the action. Luke Lacaze, though, has got a bit of battle and has got Stephen all over the back of him and trying to get a little bit more of a run. And Stephen constantly pressurizing him, both fighting for class positions at the moment. And Stephen looks up on the inside, contact between himself and Luke Lacaze. Luke now spun out, has to rejoin. He's thankfully way off the racing line and now getting the jump. So at the moment, Johan Fourie out in first place, managed to dispatch Yuri Umpi-Swart at the start, and now is looking to try and put a bit of spacing between himself and second place. Chase Herald in third, along with Peter Hubert in fourth. As they chase each other down, it does look like Peter's going to try to go around the outside. Chase Herald's going to defend, and all looks to be okay at the moment. Dino Sturman going and battling out with Willem Buerta. They are fighting it out for class position. Willem managing to really close up, as it looks like Peter Hubert got it completely wrong. Let's see if we can go back and see what happened to Peter Hubert. This is into turn one, over the curb. Oh, just lost the rear end and into the wall. Nothing more that can be done. Getting that snap oversteer, and that dropped him down the order. He had to wait for the entire field, dropping him down into 21st position, but it has promoted a few drivers up. So Johan Fourie out in first, Yuri Umpi-Swart in second place, Chase Herald in third, Dino Sturman trying to get away from Willem Buerta, with Robbie Teens now trying to open up the gap. He sees Stefan right behind him. Jeff Hancock, who's second in class, trying to close up on Robbie Teens at the moment, doing everything he can. But Jeff Hancock is battling out with Stefan just ahead. Werner Swart trying to close down the distance, seeing that Jeff has been caught out at the moment, is hoping to get a little bit closer to the fight and really do everything they can to improve as they make their way through. So each of the drivers hoping that they can close down the distance as it stands. Stalgrad, who is fighting it out, he's trying to manage fighting out with Farney at the moment. Farney managing to open up the distance, and it does look like Yuri Senior going and trying to make up some ground. He's actually lost out, so Yuri Senior has pulled into the pits. And that is unfortunate. Was doing so well, but now dropping down the order. So he's going to have to figure out how to get a little bit more pace to close down on the field, as our drivers all battle their way through as it stands. Every single one of them are trying everything they can to move forward. Willem Buerta, he's going after Robbie Teens just ahead of him. Now, remember, these are two different classes. Robbie Teens fighting it out for our Pro-Am class. Willem Buerta is part of our Pro class, and they have caught up onto the back, and that looks to be Roland Ferreira just ahead of him. So Roland Ferreira is going to be keeping a very, very close eye on this little battle and see where it can be the opportune moment for him just to allow the cars to get past, because he wants to keep up the pressure and go after Timothy Stanton just ahead of him. So Willem Buerta now has an opportunity, as Robbie Teens has caught up to Roland Ferreira. He's going to try and look around the outside, not able to get just the run he wants as yet. Buerta is going to do everything he can, has to switch to the inside line, runs out wide, comes off the throttle, having to be very, very cautious as he fights his way through, losing out a little bit of drive. So now it is time for Buerta to see if he can get a little bit momentum to chase his way through. Werner Swart, he's caught up to Stepan at the moment, as a couple of our drivers trying to come out of the pits. Stepan now feeling the pressure. Werner Swart hoping to keep on laying as much pressure as possible and psych out the other driver. Werner Skuman, he's managing to get past, and that looks to be on a cross. No, Luke Lucchesi has also landed up in the weeds. So Luke Lucchesi going and having a bit of a problem there. And Werner Skuman, who is currently driving with a bit of damage on his car, is still going to put up the fight to Visti Solgrad just ahead of him. Marco Manfuni going and saying, how's it in the grandstands, as well as it looks like Werner going and managing to take the position as Stolgrad going and losing out the drive, goes a little bit too wide and now needs to try and close down the distance. Jeff Hancock's going up on the inside of James Pepper. These two have done battle before. James Pepper doing everything he can from the UK. Going to take on the South African. Going to lock in that inside line. He's got Farney Gravestein right behind him. Farney is also in the same class. So all three of these drivers are fighting it out for class position at the moment and hoping to really step up. And they see the likes of Peter Joubert just ahead of him, trying to claw his way through the traffic as well. But James Pepper, who looks ahead just to see Hilton Nixon, who's closing down on Nico Killerman. Nico Killerman going side by side with Steve Pepper. Now Steve Pepper looking to hold that inside line, going to show his son how it's done. It looks like James Pepper's got Jeff Hancock's up on the inside. Jeff trying to send it. Beautiful send. Gets it past. But maybe Jeff went and... Jeff sent it from yards back and lost out a serious amount of his drive. And now Farney Gravestein, who's getting a better run, he's going to get past James Pepper. And these cars is all about momentum. So, while our drivers are all battling out, we've got different classes all racing for positions. We're trying to keep an eye on it. Yuri Umpi Swart out into first place with Ferree in second place. Yuri managing to dispatch and get past. So let's actually see if we can get a little bit of a replay on that to see how it all ended up. And this is from Yuri Swart trying to make his way through, getting a little bit more of a run. And diving past the likes of Ferree, Tim Cameron going and giving us a bit of a shot of our drivers a bit behind the barrier. So Ferree running out a little bit wide has caused him to lose out a serious amount of drive. And we'll have to really dig deep on the momentum to really close down the distance. As Ferree is doing everything he can to make up a little bit of ground. Werner Swart, though, is going after Stepan. They are fighting it out. Werner Swart is second of the Pro-Ams, now battling it out with sixth of our pros. He's trying to close down on Robbie Teams just ahead of him. Then we have also got another little battle that's starting to form. Hilton Nixon after Farney Gravestein as they battle their way through. So the drivers really doing everything they can up and down through the order. Jeff Hancock's also trying to make a little bit of momentum as he's caught up to Steve Pepper. And that looks to be Peter Joubert they got right ahead of him. And Peter Joubert is a back marker at this point. And Steve trying to go and defend while figure out how is he going to get past the likes of Peter Joubert, who is a back marker at this point. And Peter trying to get a little bit momentum. Steve having to back out as Jeff Hancock's managing to sweep past, going and moving up into fourth position, taking away that fourth position of our Pro-Am class away from Steve Pepper. A little bit further back, James Pepper dealing with Werner Skuman and Luke Lucchesi now starting to come into the fray as well. Luke Lucchesi started way out in the front and unfortunately, due to the spins, got caught out and now having to fight his way back up to the top. So we're going to have to figure out how he's going to work through it. Remember, they have got 2 heats to deal with it. This is heat number 1. There is a heat 2 for the drivers to make some ground, and they're hoping to really stamp out and really get a bit of momentum. Back out in front, though, Yuri Umpi Swart and Johan Ferree now starting to open up the distance. They are lying 0.8 of a second between them. really trying to gather the momentum at this moment and really get a little bit more of a chase. Jurien Pissoir hoping that he can just keep up the pace. Ferrari, who is our defending champion, he's won the championship twice, looking to try and make a third at this moment, where Jurien Pissoir is saying, listen, you've had your time in the sun, you've had your time in the spotlight, it's time for you to move over, and the crown gets passed on, especially for round one, as he gets the momentum. And you can see just by going and getting a little bit more of a chase out the corner, he's able to go and open it up. Ferrari trying to go a little bit later on the braking, and he can, due to his car. That little Veloster is incredible through the shorts and twisties, but the Audi being the real old school, the OG, hoping to carry the momentum through. And taking a look and seeing we have got flags showing up, and this seems to be a bit of contact. Peter Hubert going and trying to dive on the inside. Unfortunate contact between the two, and off into the wall. Nico Killerman and Peter Hubert going and landing up in the wall and trying to rejoin. So they have got caught out into the battle. Close racing between Stepan and Vernon Swart, as it does look like Stepan, unfortunately, not having the greatest of internet connections at the moment, and Werner having to just go and figure out where he is on circuit, managing to get past, and really starting to try and open up a little bit of a distance now as he gets a little bit more of a chase. James Pepper, he's breaking away from Werner, who's at the moment really putting down the chase, has got Luke Lucchesi right behind him. Werner and Luke are fighting for class position. James Pepper, on the other hand, is part of our Pro-Am class, so he's hoping to get a little bit more momentum as they fight their way through. So all our drivers looking to see what's going to work here. Luke Lucchesi trying to figure out how can he quickly dispatch Skuman and get closer to the likes of Stefan, who is up ahead in 8th position. And at the moment, with Werner carrying that damage, he's losing out a lot of time. So Luke Lucchesi's really got to figure out what's going to work for him here. He's going to sit on behind, maybe look for the inside line under braking. And James Pepper, who's just watching this, Werner trying to say, James, you need to get going, buddy. I'm running out of time here. And unfortunately, with two different classes, you need to go and quickly get the hammer down. Luke Lucchesi, though, is going to look up on the inside, going to try and make it 3 wide. James is stuck in the middle. He's going to hit the brakes off any racing line that's going to work for him. Luke Lucchesi, though, managing to get past, but Werner Skuman comes back at him. There's a little bit of rubbing paint between the two. They're going to fight their way through. James, though, trying to go and get himself into the right position to just move out of the way and not lose too much time. Allows Luke Lucchesi and Werner Skuman to go and battle it out. Both of them still side by side. Luke doing everything he can. Werner Skuman really trying to open up the distance now as he tries to make his way through. James Pepper, on the other hand, lost out a little bit of drive and now has got Hilton Nixon on the back of him. So well keeping an eye on the little battle that was raging behind him. He's lost out some time, and Hilton Nixon is looking to really stomp the charge. Gets up on the inside, not able to get the momentum just as yet, and will have to fight his way through. Scott Arno across, keeping him close for company. Luke Lucchesi, though, sending him down the inside of Werner Skuman. Werner trying to go for a little bit of a cutback. He has got that damage on his car at the moment, and having to really figure out what's going to work for him as they power their way through. Skuman keeping very, very close to Luke Lucchesi as they really try and get a little bit of momentum. James Pepper and Hilton Nixon also very, very close to one another. They're fighting out for 6th and 7th in class. Nixon dives up on the inside, and James going out wide is going to lose out a little bit of drive. That is going to allow Arno to close down the distance and really try his luck as he fights his way through. Lewis Nokia, who is now a back marker, he's lying in 12th position for the Pro-Am class. He's doing everything he can to try and get a little bit of momentum, looks for a way to get past, but at the same time, since he is a back marker, he cannot interfere, so he's choosing to just go a little bit more of sit and wait and allow for a mistake to happen with the two cars ahead of him. So as it stands, Yuri Swart out in first place. Second is Johan Ferrari. Chase Herald, Dino Sturman, and Willem Buertel are our top 5 for our pro class. And I see we got Cameron Nell coming in, jumping in as well. going and saying, how's it from the grandstands, also cheering on a couple of the drivers, his friends out there. Robbie Teens and Werner Swart, they are fighting it out for first and second of our Pro-Am class. 0.4 of a second between them as they're really trying to get a little bit of momentum. Then you've got Jeff Hancock lying in third. Steve Pepper trying to also close up the difference as well. Stefan, though, who seems to be a little bit spotty in his connection, going and blinking in and out of existence at the moment. But our first place for our Pro-Am class is raging on. Robbie Teens and Werner Swart, as Werner goes out wide, trying to get as much momentum. That is going to be an off track. Hopefully not a slowdown. Doesn't look like it's going to try and look maybe for the outside line, as Robbie Teens goes and made sure that he can't get past just too easily. Long right-hander where they're going to get the momentum. Stand on the throttle as you snake your way up the hill. And it's all about keeping the power, keep that momentum all the way through at the moment as they're fighting it out for class honors at this point. And they're lying 6th and 7th overall. So this is going to be valuable points for both drivers to kick off the start of their championship. Just as we saw Yuri Umpi-Swart and Jan Ferree fight their way out, now we're seeing our Pro-Am class really do battle as well. So having the two different classes is making it a bit of a change, with our drivers having to really figure out and pick and choose who they're going to battle, where they're going to battle, and who are they going to try and make the passes on. Is it worth launching their way up through the field? Well, that comes down to how much risk are you willing to take and how much you're putting on the line. If you are pro drivers like Stefan at the moment, or even like Luke Lucchesi, who are trying to move their way up through our Pro-Am field at the moment, and rest assured, our Pro-Am field is not the slowest, as you can see. They really can put up a monstrous fight, not only with one another, but with the pros. Werner Skuman just ahead. He's got some damage with Fani Graveseen, who is 5th of our Pro-Ams. Now chasing him down, trying to get into the toe, close down the distance as well. Steve Pepper is his target, and unfortunately, Werner is one car that needs to go and move out the way if he's going for Steve Pepper of that Cool Camels, going and launching his way through. So as we keep an eye on the little battle, Werner Skuman doing everything he can with a severe amount of damage to his car. He hasn't been given the meatball flag as yet, that black flag with the dreaded orange dot. Thankfully, the cars can take a little bit more of a beating, but you can be rest assured his tires are not liking it. And with just over 30 seconds left of this race, our drivers really need to step up the pace and close down the distance if they want to go and claw back those points for Heat 1. So, as we keep up the momentum, all the drivers hoping that they can keep up this momentum, keep up the charge, and score points. Heat 1 will be a valuable 50 points if you come in first place, and that will be rocketing you all the way through. As we saw with Ferree, anything can happen in the championship, and that's how he scored his two-time champion reign, and now looking to try and make a third, but it does look like Yuri Umpi-Swart's going to make that rather difficult for him as they fight their way through. Robbie Teens defending from Werner Swart at the moment, doing everything he can to try and get a little bit of momentum, both going side by side with one another, but just not able to carry it up through the S's. And Robbie Teens going and ensuring that Werner Swart's going to have to work the hard way here. Looks up on the inside, just can't lock it down as yet. Will have to get back into the charge and power his way through. So as our checkered flag comes out, Yuri Umpi-Swart taking first of the pros, beating out Johan Ferree. Chase Herald coming across. He will be finishing up in a third place of our pro class. He's going to be rather happy with that. Dino Sturman coming across. He'll be finishing in fourth. Willem Buerta in fifth place. Well, he goes and smiles at the fifth place for our pro class. First place is still raging on. Robbie Teens, Werner Swart, they're going to take it down to the wire. I think it is going to be Robbie Teens that will be able to cross the line, taking first place away from Werner Swart. 0.1 of a second difference between first and second. 6th place of our pro class goes to Stepan. 3rd of our pro-am class goes to Jeff Hancox. Then Luke Lucchesi taking 7th place of our pro class. Werner Skuman battling it out with Steve Pepper to the line. Will be taking 8th of our pro-am. Steve Pepper going and walking away with 4th in our pro-am class. So Werner Skuman taking pro. Farney Gravestein in 5th place of our pro-am. James Pepper in 6th. Hilton Nixon in 7th. 8th Honor Kraus and Vasti Stalgrad in 9th place of our pro-am. Comes across the line. Timothy Stanton in 10th, followed by Roland Ferreira in 11th. 12th is Lewis Nokia. They have done a stellar job going and really making their way through. 9th of our pro class will go to Noah Hendricks. Nico Killerman taking 13th of our pro-am class. 10th going to of our pro class goes to Peter Hubert. Yuri Swart Senior taking 14th. So, as we take a look at our results, our pros, as it stands for Heat 1, Jan Fourie, Yuri Swart, Yuri Umpi Swart. Sorry, I do apologize. That was our practice. There we go. Yuri Umpi Swart taking 1st place. Jan Fourie taking 2nd. Chase Herald taking 3rd. Dino Sturman, followed by Willem Buerta, Stepan Slavov, Luke Lucchesi, Werner Skuman, Noah Hendricks, and Peter Hubert taking 10th place of our pro class. Moving on to our pro-am. And first of our pro-am, Robbie Teens, Werner Swart, Jeff Hancox, Steve Pepper, Farney Gravestein, James Pepper, Hilton Nixon, Arno Kraus, Velsti Stalgrad, Timothy Stanton, Roland Ferreira, Lewis Nokia, Nico Killerman, and Yuri Swart Senior going and rounding out our field. And I do apologize, we did miss out a few overtakes during the course of the race. And we'll endeavor for Heat 2, which is coming up, to go and show us who's going to be able to take their way down to the wire. So, while we wait for our drivers to take to the circuit for Heat 2, let's go and talk about what we just saw there. Some amazing action. We also got to see how the technical circuit favored some of the drivers, but not all. And with an open setup, the drivers were able to figure out what they can do. Now, we usually do have my co-commentator and teammate, Jan Price, joining me in the box. Unfortunately, not here this evening. And does say, how's it from the world out north? He's out in the Bundus having a braai at the moment. But taking a look at our grandstand, Marco Manfuni going and saying, how's it? He's also keeping a very close eye on our pro class. Robert McCall's out. Cameron Nell also going and saying, how's it? And missing the name. So let's see how it's going to get it going. So Cameron Nell going and keeping an eye on the battle. Looking over to a couple of the drivers that are going and saying, we've got Steve Pepper says, all right. So Steve Pepper is under the Cool Camel team. It just seems like on the stream it's not showing it correctly. We'll get that sorted out. And Hilton Nixon going and saying that was a huge amount of fun. So a couple of the drivers really enjoying themselves out there and hoping to really move forward. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as we wind up for our Heat 2, which will be opening up at 9:10, our drivers waiting to get going and hoping that they can claw their way through. Let's see how it's all going to work out for our drivers here tonight for the RaceFace TCR Championship Round 1, Season 3. And gotta say, back for a Season 3 is absolutely incredible stuff. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how you will be able to move forward and how the championship will move forward during the course of this 4-round bi-weekly championship. Next week will be our F4s joining on to have a bit of fun. So it does look like our Heat 2 is about to fire up as we wait in anticipation. Our drivers all waiting in anticipation at the moment, hoping that they can get themselves out there, get going, and really claw their way through. So as we wait for the timer, this is always the most, well, I'd say the nerve-wracking part of the world of iRacing, and for servers to spin up and get going. We wait for the opportunity to see these drivers go and slug it out once again. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you are liking what you're seeing, make sure you hit that subscribe along with the bell notification icon. We've got tons of racing here at RaceFace, not only in the world of iRacing in terms of our TCR cars. We do have our F4s. We also have our Assetto Corsa Competizione. Those are our GT3 cars that race on a Wednesday, Thursday, and endurance series as well. All championships are open for anyone to register. Come and have a bit of fun, and also join up with our racing here at RaceFace.Pro. Follow the links and also join up in our Discord as well. So let's see how it's all going to go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Still waiting for the marshals to allow us to get back onto the circuit after a little bit of a cleanup that is being done at the Rudskogen circuit. Beautiful, beautiful track, and rather new to the world of iRacing in Norway. And this 3.2 kilometer circuit does make it rather challenging, and also drivers having to really work their way through turn 1, turn 2 being the most difficult of it. This track has been around for more than 30 years plus, opened in May 1990, and it has been a massive circuit for guys to go and have a bit of fun. Not only seeing Porsche Cup cars like the Porsche Carrera Cup going and having a bit of fun, but also going and having a variety of single-seaters, Formula Fords, Formula Vs, also heading out onto the circuit. A lot of historics racing around, but it's also seen GT3s head out onto the circuit. Both Porsche and Mercedes have gone and sent fleet of vehicles for testing at the circuit to go and have a bit of fun, and also to see what they can do, putting the cars through their paces with the different undulations and changes in camber. It does make it an ideal training ground for not only drivers, but also to go and find out all the little nitty gritties that your cars are able to deal with. 14 corners in total, and it does have a little bit of a feel of a go-kart circuit, which a lot of drivers do report that it feels more like a go-kart track where you've got to bide your time. You've got to figure out where you're going to go, and if you're going to go for a pass, well, you're going to really have to dig your teeth in and go for it. You can't second guess any of the options, because the moment you back out of it, the moment you second guess of going for a pass, as we saw, it can land up absolutely detrimental to not only your race, but for others as well. As more reports are coming in, guys are going and saying what a phenomenal heat one it was, going and doing a little bit of tinkering as they make their way through. So let's see how it's going to get going as we wait for our drivers lining up on the line. Jeff Hancock's hoping up to get a little bit more momentum. Lewis Nokia hoping to move himself forward. Roland Ferreira as well, hoping to avoid any of the carnages that originally put him further down the order, so he's going to have to really dig and figure out how he can get past. Luke Lucchesi also trying to say that he needs to improve and get the move on. The tail end snapping underneath him was not ideal, but he's looking to make life rather difficult for the pro category up in front. Yuri Umpi-Swart saying he managed to get past right at the end, but this is all going to be a challenge coming Heat 2, as he knows his competition is extremely fierce behind him. So he is well aware of our champion waiting to get going once again, as we're still waiting for the server to get going so we can get out onto the track. I do apologize for the delay at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, as we wait to get going for Heat 2 of a RaceFace.Pro TCR Championship Season 3, Round 1 at Rudskogen. And it is going to be a proper run for the championship. A bi-weekly championship for the drivers, having to figure out what they can do here at Rudskogen and who's going to be able to move their way forward in the championship. Variety of different circuits being used. This time we are using a couple of paid circuits, much like Rudskogen. And also at the end we do have Red Bull Ring that comes into play. That is going to be a very interesting one for the TCR cars. All about momentum and slipstreaming. And that will be on our fourth and final round. We got 2 heats for each of the drivers to go and contend with. So we'll have to see how it's going to move their way forward. And does look like we've got a little bit of a delay trying to see what on earth is going on that's causing this delay. So do apologize once again as we're looking to get into Heat 2. So just taking a look, does look like the circuit has opened up. A couple of drivers have been making their way out. We got another 15-minute qualifying. So if you didn't do so well in your first qualifying and you needed to go and tinker, well, this is your time to do so. Another 15-minute qualifying gets thrown in for the drivers to claw their way up through the order and get another shot of putting themselves in a positive position for the start of the race. Then followed by our 20-minute heat where the drivers get to battle it out once again. Remember, first place gets 50 points and then followed by second place getting 43 points. So for your classes, you have to keep that well in mind of who's going to be able to get their way up to the top. So we are just waiting to get going tonight. Our drivers hoping to open up the distance. I know a couple of guys have been tinkering with their tire pressures and also going and just changing their fueling ever so slightly, going and also giving themselves a little bit more rake on the cars just to try and get a little bit more grip and stop the cars as quick as possible, especially around this very tricky circuit, a very technical track that is going to really show how the drivers are going to step it up here tonight. So let's head out to the circuit. Our drivers making their way through, trying to get a little bit more momentum as we get our timing up and going once again. Chase Herald looking to get a little bit more pace underneath him. He's hoping to close down the distance. Had a brilliant run earlier. Yuri Swart Sr., who unfortunately retired earlier on, is now looking to try and improve. So Jeff Hancock's first time on the board for our Pro-Am. Chase Herald is our second time on the board as they look to fight their way through. Chase Herald lying in second place with that 1:30.6 as his lap time at the moment. So he's hoping to really go and step up what he can do to try and close down the difference between them. But Jeff Hancock's putting out the fastest lap time. Chase Herald in second. Robbie Teens in third place with that 1:31. He's hoping to get a little bit more pace underneath him and close down the difference. Werner Swart lying in fourth place. Roland Ferreira in fifth. Vasti Stalgrad in sixth. Seventh, Hilton Nixon. Yuri Swart Sr. in eighth position at the moment. Dropping down to ninth as Hilton going and doing everything he can to just try and get past. A couple of our drivers still needing to get a time out on the board. There we go. Jan Free putting in the fastest lap time on the board at 1:29.4. as his chase. Then Jeff Hancock's with that 1:30.5, hoping to try and improve it. Chase Herald lying in third place. Needs to get a little bit more of a run. Second of our pros, third overall at the moment. Now needs to try and put down a 129. Does so. 129.7 is his quickest lap time. Jeff Hancock's comes back at him. 129.727. And he's picking up the pace. Roland Ferreira up into 4th place, trying to get a little bit more momentum as Timothy Stanton comes up into 4th place. He gets a little bit more of a run. Willem Buerta going and putting himself into 5th. So he's also climbed on and got going once again. That 130, 131 seems to be the average time at the moment. So Willem Buerta, Timothy Stanton, 5th and 6th. Then we've got actually 7th place is Stepan Savov, followed by Robbie Teens, Roland Ferreira, Lewis Nokia, James Pepper, Nico Killerman, Farney Gravestein, Werner Swart, Vasti Salgrad, Hilton Nixon, and Yuri Swart Sr. lying in 17th position at the moment, getting beaten up by Yuri Umpi Swart. So Yuri Umpi Swart getting ahead of his dad and getting a little bit of momentum, saying, okay, well, I've got to pick up the pace. I'm lying a little bit far down the field, and my competitor, Roland Ferreira, just put the fastest lap time on the board at 128.8, getting a proper chase and trying to open up the distance. So let's see how this is going to work. Luke Lucchese still needing to get a time on the boards, followed by Noah Hendricks, Dino Sturman, and Werner Skuman, along with Steve Pepper, still digging deep to try and get a little bit more time underneath them. Jan Ferry out in 1st place. Chase Herald up into 2nd place. Jeff Hancock's first of our Pro-Ams lying in 3rd place. Peter Hubert, 3rd place of our Pros, lying in 4th place. Willem Buerta trying to chase him down. Roland Ferreira. Timothy Stanton gets a quicker lap time though. Puts himself into 6th position as he gets beaten out by Peter Hubert. Puts himself into 6th place. Then we got Werner Skuman into 3rd place. So Werner Skuman has also now stepped it up. He's trying to get a little bit closer to our Pro division. Noah Hendricks puts in a time as well. He puts himself up into 9th position, drops down to 10th as Werner Swart comes across the line and puts himself into 2nd place. So the drivers going and really fighting their way through in this, trying to figure out what they can do to get a little bit more pace. Yuri Umpi Swart, though, trying to maneuver his way past, does get himself into 4th place, gets past Yuri Swart Sr., but now needs to figure out what's going to work for him as they try and claw their way through. So Werner Skuman, Willem Buerta, Jeff Hancock's all battling it out. Peter Hubert, Timothy Stanton, Roland Ferreira up into 10th position. Noah Hendricks in 11th. Stepan Slavov in 12th. 13th, Dino Sturman, Robbie Teens, Nico Killerman, Farney Gravestein, Lewis Nokia, Arno Kraus, James Pepper, Yuri Swart Sr., Vasti Stalgrad, Hilton Nixon, Luke Lucchese, and Steve Pepper as the running order goes for our 24 cars out on the track. Jan Ferry has now got Dino Sturman putting in an absolutely stellar time, getting that 129.06 and putting himself firmly into 2nd place at the moment, trying to pick up the pace and close his way down to Jan Ferry. They are fighting it out for class. Werner Swart, though, he's keeping a very close eye on Jeff Hancock's this time because they are fighting it out for their class honors. I'm just going to see how it's all going to work. So, as it stands, there is our Pro and Pro-Am for qualifying. And you can see who needs to fight with who. Ferry, Sturman, Herald are needing to go at one another. Yuri Swart, Yuri Umpi Swart, Werner Skuman, Willem Buerta, Peter Hubert, Noah Hendricks, and Stepan Savov are looking to try and battle it out, with Luke Lucchese still yet to put a time on the board. Werner Swart leading out of our Proms with Jeff Hancock's in 2nd place. Timothy Stanton along with Roland Ferreira. Robbie Teens, who won Heat 1, now needs to try and figure out what does he need to do to get a little bit more pace underneath him. He is so close to just going and getting a quicker lap time, but where does he need to carry the momentum? Well, only time can tell, ladies and gentlemen, and who will be able to claw their way up to victory come the end of this qualifying and also our race coming up. So as it stands, Jan Ferry still leading out that 1st place. Dino Sturman pulling into the pits. He's going to wait it out, do a little bit of work. Jeff Hancock's hoping to get a little bit of momentum, doing that 1:29 dead as his fastest lap time. Werner Swart, though, coming and chasing him, doing a 1:29.75. He's hoping to get a little bit of momentum underneath him. Chase Herald hoping to also claw his way through, as we do have drivers swapping positions. Robbie Teens has pulled into the pits, and that's allowed Peter Hubert to get a quicker lap time. Stepan Savov and Willem Buerta going and clawing their way up through the order as well. So time starting to run out. Drivers have got less than 5 minutes to go and close up these lap times and try and figure out what's going to work. Solgrad pulling into the pits. His quickest lap time was 1:34.07, so he's needing to figure out what's going to work from him. James Pepper trying to utilize a little bit of a slipstream at the moment as he pulls his way along. He's got Yuri Swart Sr. just ahead of him and going and making up a little bit of time at the moment. Steve Pepper also doing everything he can to close up the distance, part of the Cool Camels team. So Steve Pepper needing to figure out what's going to work for him and how he can close up the distance. So James having his dad right behind him, and Steve actually being ahead in the standings at the moment. So James really trying to dig deep. I do know James Pepper, in terms of a single-seater, is incredibly quick, but we'll have to see how it works out in the TCR cost come this 4-round season. 2 heats each, so you're doing 8 races in a season in four weeks, which is all bi-weekly. Luke Lucchesi puts himself into second place. Peter Hubert trying to pick up some pace. Dino Sturman also doing everything he can. He's going to come across the line. Yuri Swart puts himself into first place, a 1:28.05 as his quickest lap time. Jan Ferree going to try and beat that out. Will he be able to? Comes across the line and not able to beat the lap time. So he's going to have to do everything he can to close up the distance. Luke Lucchesi, Peter Hubert, Dino Sturman, Jeff Hancock, Werner Swart, Willem Buerta, Chase Herald, Werner Skuman, Stepan Savov, Farney Gravestein, Timothy Stavton, along with Arno Kraus, Roland Ferreira, Nico Killerman, Noah Hendricks, all trying to pick up the pace. Hilton Nixon, Lewis Nokia, Steve Pepper is ahead of James Pepper, who is right behind Yuri Swart Sr. at the moment. Yuri Swart Sr. is in 23rd position, trying to pick up his lap time a little bit more, getting hustled along by the young James Pepper. And Vasily Solgrad back out onto the circuit. He is in 24th position, trying to pick up a little bit of time to claw his way through. Yuri Swart dealing with Dino Sturman right behind him. Dino keeping a very, very close line and is going to try and utilize the slipstream on the back of him. That is going to help, especially in these cars. The slipstream is massively an advantage to have. It pulls you along, and it can also close down about half a second in your time. You can see taking a very wide line, late apex, try and get as much of a drive out as possible. You do run very close to the track limits. Let's see, will that have been enough as they come across the line? 132, not able to go and beat that 128 that was set by him previously. So our drivers really trying to figure out what's going to work for them. Time starting to run out at the moment. Willem Buerta and Chase Herald trying to pick up their time. Chase Herald comes across the line. He's in 9th position. Will this be enough to claw his way up through the order? No, going to remain in 9th with a 129.294. Couple of the drivers going and pulling off. They're going to rather wait it out for the race, and that is going to start clearing up the circuit. So if you do want to get those quick lap times in with no traffic, well, time is now to go and stand on the gas and get going as Timothy Stanton tries everything he can. The Roland Manifolds Racing comes up into 14th position, putting in his best lap time of at 129.832. So our drivers trying to figure out what's going to work for them, how they're going to claw their way up. Luke Lucchesi, who was off to a little bit of a late start in qualifying, comes across the line, 130.003, not able to pick up his lap time. The RDSA Pantera Racing machine just not out fast enough at the moment. Dino Sturman trying to come and get a little bit more of a drive. had a little bit more of a clear circuit. Is this going to help him up? Comes across the line. He's not able to pick himself out of 5th position, but Yuri Umpi Swart with a 1:27.656, our quickest lap time to date, right at the end. That 1:27 is going to set the bar this evening and has really shown off what he can do in a TCR car. Let's see who will be able to beat it out. Johan Fourie, Peter Joubert, they trying to go and get a little bit more of a pace at the moment, along with Luc Lucchesi. Dino Sturman also still out on a charge. Willem Buerta, Stefan Slavov still out there. Fani Gravenstein, along with Timothy Stanton, Roland Ferreira, and Yuri Swart Sr. also trying to get a little bit more of a run. All of them going to see that 1:27 is a possible number, but they have to try and figure out what they're going to do to get close to it. So Yuri Umpi Swart set the bar. It does look like Yuri Swart Sr. though going and losing out the drive. He opts to move out of the way for Johan Fourie. And Fourie trying to get a little bit more of a drive at the moment. Seeing that 1:27, he will be starting in 2nd place at the moment unless he can get a little bit more of a drive out of the final corner, getting the momentum. Is it going to be enough though? As he really puts down the power, comes across the line and wasn't able to better his lap time. Gets a 1:27.999, but just not the lap time that he needed to get in 1st place. So, as it stands, ladies and gentlemen, here for Heat 2 at Rudskogen for round 1 of our Season 3 of the RaceFace TCR Championship. Gotta say, absolutely incredible, this little championship. Getting to Season 3, and one of the few championships that can get its way that little bit closer as we waiting for our cars to line up on the grid, and for Tim to give us our gridding information. As we see a bit of a barren circuit at the moment, drivers just pulling in, but there we go. Yuri Swart out in 1st place, along with Johan Fourie, Peter Joubert, Luc Lucchesi, Dino Sturman, Jeff Hancock, Werner Swart, Willem Buerta, along with Chase Herald, hoping to get a little bit more momentum. Werner Skuman, Timothy Stanton, Stefan Stavov, Robbie Teens, Fani Gravestein, Arno Kraus, Roland Ferreira, Nico Killerman, Noah Hendricks, Hilton Nixon, Lewis Nokia, Steve Pepper, Yuri Swart Sr., along with James Pepper and Valasti Stalgrad, going and rounding out. So, lined up on the line, all our drivers hoping to get that little bit of momentum. You can hear them all revving up, getting ready to go. And this is going to be it. The drivers will have to dig deep on this one to figure out who will be able to claw their way through. Yuri managed to get the jump on the start. Fourie in 2nd place. Peter Joubert, Luc Lucchesi, Dino Sturman, top 5 of Pro, lined up with Jeff Hancock and Werner Swart, 1st and 2nd of our Pro-Ams.
Green, green, green.
And away they go. Green flag. All the drivers standing on the throttle. Dino Sturman getting a great drive, moving up. And it looks like Jeff Hancock's also trying to get a little bit more of a drive. He's doing everything he can to move up. But at front, it is Yuri Umpi Swart, Johan Fourie, Luc Lucchesi, Dino Sturman, followed by Werner Swart, who's going on the defense. He's got the likes of Peter Joubert up on the inside of him. Chase Herald trying to chase him down. Do everything he can because he's got Willem Buerta going to try and close up the gap right behind him. Hard under the brakes, and Jeff Hancock's doing everything he can. He's got Stepan going in, closing in. Oh, contact! That was with Chase Herald. Chase Herald got caught up in a little bit of an incident that throws him down the order. And after a brilliant start, now having to claw his way through. Dino Sturman going after the inside of Luc Lucchesi, doing everything he can to try and get a little bit momentum at the moment. Peter Joubert also now keeping an eye on this battle just ahead of him as Dino Sturman looks up on the inside, sends it free. Just ahead though, is going to be watching his mirrors. as Luke Lucchese gets caught out by Dino Sturman. Now needs to figure out how he can close up the distance, as he's got Peter Hubert right behind him on the hard charge, with Jeff Hancock's looming in the wings. First of our Pro-Ams, trying to keep up with our top 5 of Pro at the moment. Peter Hubert looking up on the inside, will keep it a very, very close tow at the moment as they carve their way through. Really powering their way out in the front as they come across the line. So let's take a look. As it stands, we have got Yuri Umpiswat out in first place, Jan Ferry in second, Dino Sturman, Luke Lucchese, and Peter Hubert is part of our top 5 of Pro. Willem Buerta lying in 6th along with Stepan Savov, Werner Skuman, Noor Hendricks, and Chase Herald rounding out our Pro. But for our Pro-Am, we have got Jeff Hancocks, who's doing everything he can. He's got Willem Buerta right behind him, and Werner Swart trying to utilize this little gap to try and see if he can maneuver his way past, as Jeff Hancocks has got a little bit of a battle. Timothy Stanton also closing up on Stepan, but battling out with Roland Ferreira. Nico Killerman has got Robbie Teens right behind him. Arno Kraus also closing up. James Pepper, part of the Cool Camels, has got Noah Hendricks getting past him. Steve Pepper is going to try and battle him out and go up on the inside. Noah just managing to eke out a little bit, but Steve Pepper goes up on the inside. Noah Hendricks loses out the drive, drops down. Chase Herald, though, going and utilizing the advantage. He goes to try and get past, tucks in behind Noah Hendricks, launches up on the inside. Beautiful pass. Noah Hendricks going, well, can't battle out with that one. Yuri Swart Sr., along with Lewis Nokia, Hilton Nixon, Farney Gravestein, and Velocity Stelgrad, keeping very, very close behind. So the drive is still there for all our drivers to move forward. Willem Buerta doing everything he can to figure out how can he go past the likes of Jeff Hancocks. Werner Swart chasing him down behind, hoping to keep up the pressure, as he's lying in second place in our Pro-Am class, with Jeff Hancocks watching his mirrors at the moment. So he's trying to mimic the moves of Willem Buerta to at least put a little bit of a dent in the battle. Looks up on the inside, can't get past just as yet. And it does look like Peter Hubert, though, got a little bit late on the brakes, did lock it up. So he managed to keep it all together, but it turns into a monstrous battle. Arno Kraus has dealings with likes of James Pepper, as James trying to carve his way through, gets past Nico Killerman at the moment. Nico doing everything he can. He's got Chase Herald trying to make up some time, and Nico does look up on the inside of James Pepper. Can't get past as yet. He's going to have to try and get a little bit of momentum. Looks to the inside line. Chase Herald doing everything he can. Does look like we got a problem, though. Jeff Hancocks. And let's take a look what happened to Jeff Hancocks, as he's got... had one of the cars right behind him. Oh, contact between the two. Goes and spins out. Now has to wait for the entirety of the field to get past. And that has promoted Werner Swart up into first place. Willem Buerta took a look on the inside. Wasn't able to make it stick. Now Werner Swart trying to get a little bit of momentum and get away from the rest. As Werner sees that right behind him, he has got a Stepan. So Werner Skuman has got Stepan Slavov right behind him, pushing as hard as he can. And then we've also seen another car flaring up, and that is Steve Pepper getting caught out. And just take a look at the battle side by side. Misses out with Chase. Well, Nico Killerman just ahead of him. He went over the curb, trying to look for the inside line. And unfortunately, that threw him down the order as well. So as it stands, Willem Buerta fighting out with Werner Swart, who has got Werner Skuman right behind him. They're all fighting in a nice close battle at the moment. Werner Skuman trying to get past, as he needs to get closer to Willem Buerta, who is first of our pro, is lying sixth of our pros. Does look up on the inside. It does look like Swart going and opening the door and saying, all right, buddy, if you want to take it and you're going to pull me along, because now you cost me time. That's going to allow Timothy Stanton to close up the distance right behind. So Roland Ferreira doing everything he can. Robbie Teens feeling the pressure from Chase Herald, who has had the problem at the start of the race, trying to claw his way through, going under the brakes, really doing everything he can. Lying 9th position in his class, and lying 13th overall is going to be a proper monumental chase for him. So Robbie Teens, who went and scored the win, now has to really figure out what he can do. As Chase Herald looks up on the inside, sends it, makes it work, gets by. Robbie Teens drops down the order. That allows Arno Kraus to close up right behind him. Nico Killerman trying to make up some time. He's got James Pepper right behind him. Noah Hendricks also going and closing down the distance as well. So back out to the top though. Willem Buerta dealing with Werner Swart at the moment. Werner trying to look up on the inside. Werner Swart, first of our Pro-Ams, is fighting it out with 6th of our Pro. And Werner Skuman has now got a problem as he's got Stefan right behind him. They're fighting it for class positions as well and really closing up the distance. And also trying everything he can. So Stefan really putting the pressure on. He's got Timothy Stanton right behind him. Roland Ferreira also trying to close down the distance. I see Hilton Dixon landing up in a bit of a problem, so that's thrown him down the order. So he's really having to play a little bit of a climbing game at the moment. Back out in front though, Johan Free leading out in the field. He has got Yuri Umpiswat on his tail at the moment, really pushing hard. These two were so close in their qualifying times. Free managed to get past Yuri Umpiswat and now needs to figure out how to maintain this distance as they go hard under the brakes into turn 1. Fighting it out for Pro and fighting it out for first overall at the moment. They've got Dino Sturman hunting them down in 3rd place at the moment, trying to figure out how can he close down the distance. Free going defensive. Yuri Umpiswat doing everything he can to try and look up on the inside, second guesses it, going to try and follow through, carrying as much momentum as possible. That Durant Motorsport Audi trying to close down on Jan Ferree, who is really battling it out in the Hyundai Veloster. A little Veloster showing what it can do as it fights its way through. Luke Lucchesi, though, also going and carving his way through. He gets past Peter Hubert. They were fighting it out, so good to see that Luke Lucchesi getting a little bit more of a run. Peter Hubert, though, is going to chase him down to the wire as they maneuver their way through. Free goes out wide. That's going to allow Yuri Umpiswat to dive up on the inside, side by side between the two. Free's not going to back out. Yuri's going to have to figure out what he's going to do. Lose out the momentum, rather going to come back at it. So Jan Free just hanging on for that first place at the moment. Needs to figure out what he's going to do to hold back Yuri Umpiswat as they continue their charge. Not even 10 minutes done and dusted. I'm sure these drivers are sweating. They are white knuckles on the steering wheels at the moment, trying to figure out what are they going to do as they battle their way around the circuit. So first in class at the moment, Jan Free, Yuri Umpiswat battling it out. Dino Sturman in 3rd place is keeping close. He's only 2.2 seconds. Anything can happen to our front lot before he can close up the distance and get past. We've seen it before where he's just bided his time and awaited for the opportune moment. Yuri Swat looks to the inside, can't make it work. Free defending and doing everything he can at the moment to hold this first place. Running out over the AstroTurf, keeping very, very close to one another. Got to be so careful about your braking markers. A little bit further down, we got Timothy Stanton. He lost our position to Steven Slavov, who's managed to close up his way. So good to see him out there. Roland Ferreira right onto the back of Timothy Stanton as well. So they're trying to also have a monumental battle behind into a 3-car train. Free and Swat going and battling out. Yuri Umpiswat not going to back out of this. Going to go for a very late apex once again, hoping that he can carry the momentum through. Will it be enough though? Gets the drive, and this is going to help him up into turn 1. It's going to keep the momentum. Free having to defend and do everything he can to ensure that he locks down the position. Does so. Yuri Umpiswat going and running over the curb. Does lose out a little bit of drive, so he's going to be so careful with that. Another little battle forming is Peter Hubert and the likes of Luke Lucchesi. They are fighting it out. And to take a look at Werner Swart putting in the fastest lap time for the Pro-Ams, a 1:29.292. So he's also having a great time out there. Seeing Werner Skuman and Willem Buerta, who are in our Pro class, battling out behind him. Steven Staffel also going and creating a bit of a buffer to Timothy Stanton, Roland Ferreira, Robbie Teens, who are trying to close down the distance to him at the moment. So our drivers all stepping up their game, trying to figure out what's going to work for them, how they're going to close up. Yuri Mpiswat, once again, back on the attack. Can't get past Free. Free locking down that inside line, went to the middle, defended, forcing Yuri to figure out inside, outside, what's going to work, and had him guessing. Now trying to battle his way through. Both drivers hoping that they can keep up the charge. They know what's on the line here for a driver class and overall for our RaceFace TCR Championship. Season 3, Round 1, Heat 2 of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. And it is going to be a proper fight down to the wire. Yuri Mpiswat, though, getting the fastest lap time, a 1:28.357, slightly quicker than Johan Farid just ahead of him. You can see having to really slam on the anchors and try and bring it back. So our drivers all doing what they can at the moment. And it does look like Timothy Stanton, though, losing out a bit of drive. He's lost out to Robbie Teens and Roland Ferreira, who are fighting for class position. So Timothy Stanton, in a space of 2 corners, has lost out the podium at this point and will have to come fighting back and really close down the distance. Peter Hubert and Luc Lucchesi, they're going to battle it out. They are fighting out for 4th and 5th for the pro class at the moment, having a monumental battle between the two. Good to see the guys going and giving it their absolute all. Robbie Teens, though, right onto the back of Roland Ferrer. They are fighting out for 2nd and 3rd. And now they've got Timothy Stanton closing down in the 4th position. Bit of gravel getting kicked up. The drivers having to keep well aware of that. Nico Killerman dealing with Arno Kraus. James Pepper trying to close down. He's got Noah Hendricks, one of our pro drivers, keeping up the pace and really trying to figure out how he can keep past. James Pepper is going to run him out wide a little bit to maintain his position. Chase Herald, seeing Noah Hendricks is in the battle here. Noah does send a massive launch up on the inside, gets it stuck, gets past James Pepper, and now Chase Herald going, well, I was hoping that you would keep him busy, but doesn't look like it. Lewis O'Keefe, getting a little bit more of a drive. Jeff Hancock's going and trying to claw his way through. He's got Yuri Swart Sr. right behind him. And Farney Gravestein, who's Gravenstein, I do apologize. Gravenstein, lying in 11th in class. Then we got Felicity Stalgrad and Steve Pepper with Hilton Nixon, who landed up spinning out, now closing up the distance right behind. He's also on a monumental push to catch up and get past Steve Pepper all the way out from the UK. Back out to our front, Jan Free, Yuri Mpiswat keeping very, very close, and this is our one of our closest battles on circuit as they are fighting it out for position. Then we have got Honor Kraus and Nico Kilman. They're also trying to make up a bit of time. Free going out wide, does lose out the drive. Swart getting caught up into the mix. So Yuri now going and losing that drive that he had on the climb as he got right up behind Free. Now looks up on the inside, going to try and send it between the two of them. Going around the outside, Yuri Mpiswat's not going to have the drive here. Will have to take that late apex and try and get the momentum through as he tries to close up the drive. So, proper little battle going on for our TCRs. Werner Swart, leading out of our Pro-Ams at the moment, is keeping a very close eye on Peter Hubert just up the road from him, and knowing that he has to keep the pace up at the moment to keep away from second in his class, which is Roland Ferreira, who has got Robbie Teens all over the back of him. Ferreira and Teens are going to do everything they can. Ferreira trying to defend the racing line at the moment, hard on the brakes. The Ondorf machine doing everything it can to keep ahead of Robbie Teens, who does go out a little bit wide, loses our drive. That allows Timothy Stanton to close down. So Timothy Stanton now becoming a viable threat for that 3rd place spot. Robbie Teens trying to go back up on the inside of Ferreira, not able to do it just as yet as they carve their way through. You can see Timothy going a little bit later on the brakes. Elantra being a lot better through the corners compared to the Veloster. Will be able to carry a little bit more momentum. The Honda Civic also being one to keep an eye out for, as it's Also very, very easy to drive around the corners versus the Veloster with its very, very twitchy. And Timothy Stanton, though, launches up on the inside, gets past Robbie Teens, and now carries the momentum past Arno Kraus. He's also trying to keep a little bit of momentum away from Nico Killerman, who's trying to chase him down. Chase Herald getting past Noah Hendricks as Noah's trying to fight back at this point. James Pepper is lying 7th in class. He's also trying to make a little bit more of a drive on their way through. So this is going to be a very interesting one. So, as it stands, Johan Fourie and Jurien Pissoit leading out the charge between the two. 0.4 of a second, and Jurien Pissoit trying to go a little bit later on the brakes. The Audi not doing everything he can. And Fourie trying everything he can to keep up the momentum, fighting their way through. Late on the brakes, trying to get through the S's just okay, and through the left-hander, tightens up. So you have to try and guess where you're going to go at this point. Down the hill, and this is where Jurien Pissoit does have a bit of an advantage under braking compared to the Veloster. The Audi closing up the distance, goes out a little bit wide. Fourie defending, doing everything he can to try and hold the battle as they fight it out for the Pro class. You can see just going and flirting with those track limits at the moment, as Tristan de Norbrugge going and keeping a very close eye on our first and second of our Pro class, battling it out as Jurien Pissoit looks to the inside, second guesses it, going to try and keep the momentum up, closes down. Once again, going over the curb a little bit too much is going to cause the rear to upset. We've seen it happen to many of our drivers. Fourie, on the other hand, going to defend, trying to move to the center of the circuit to try and force Jurien Pissoit to just lose out under braking. You can see ever so slight on the brakes, constantly on and off. Fourie doing everything he can to maintain as Jurien Pissoit gets tucked up right beneath him, doing everything he can underneath the rear wing, not able to get past just as yet, powering their way through. Fourie hoping that he can maintain this lead for just 2 more minutes at the moment for our Pro class. And we've got our Pro and Werner Swart, who's opened up the distance. He's trying to do everything he can to power his way around. But Fourie goes out wide, cuts off the driver of Jurien Pissoit, once again doing everything he can to ensure that Yuri can't get past just as yet as they fight their way through. This is turning into a monumental battle down to the wire. Jurien Pissoit has got the quickest lap time of the race and now needs to try and see if he can put it to good use to get past. So this is going to be a battle to keep an eye on for in our sector times coming up. Johan Fourie leading out with Jurien Pissoit challenging him behind as they do everything they can. Dino Sturman trying his might to close down the distance, and already you can see through sector 1 and sector 3 that is where Jurien Pissoit goes and gets a little bit more pace than Johan Fourie on that last run. But through sector 1 it does look like Swart's a little bit quicker, but not by much. 0.026 at the moment. Fourie doing everything he can to keep up the momentum at this point, and Jurien Pissoit trying to close down. Now it's through sector 2 as they fight their way around. Jurien Pissoit runs over a little bit onto the grass, losing out the drive. We'll have to figure out what he's going to do at this point. And just seeing our drivers going and just giving it their absolute all, as this is the final run. This is the final lap for our drivers. Fourie leading it out of our Pro and overall has got Jurien Pissoit. Will this be what he needs for his championship at the moment? Closing down. Jurien Pissoit looks to the inside, can't get past Fourie just as yet. Now it's going to be about who carries the momentum onto the straight. Yuri's going to have the advantage in terms of the slipstream, but not able to get it. Jan Free taking first across the line. Yuri Pissoir taking second. Then we have got Dino Sturman coming across the line in third for our pros, followed by Peter Hubert. Luc Lecchese, after a monumental drive, finishes up in fifth. Werner Swart coming across the line. Willem Buerta getting the jump on Werner Skuman. Stefan Salvov, he's battling it out. He's got Roland Ferreira right behind him. Ferreira doing everything he can. He's got Timothy Stanton trying to get a little bit of momentum underneath him. Can't get it. So Ferreira getting ahead of Timothy Stanton right across the line. Nico Killerman coming and beating out Chase Herald, who climbed his way from the back of the field after having a bit of a spin. Noah Hendricks coming across the line in 14th. Robbie Teens, James Pepper getting ahead of Jeff Hancock's. Lewis O'Keefe coming across the line. Yuri Swart Sr. finishing up in 19th. 20th is Fanny Gravenstein. Good to see him out there. Arno Kraus in 21st. Vasasti Stolgrad. Do apologize. And I'll learn Scandinavian to get that name right. Hilton Nixon comes across the line. And Steve Pepper rounding out our field here tonight. So, let's take a look at our results for our pro class. Jan Free, along with Yuri Pissoir, Dino Sturman, Peter Hubert, Luc Lecchese, Willem Buerta, Werner Skuman, Stefan Slavov, Chase Herald, Noah Hendricks, finishing out in 10th place for our pro. Our Pro-Am class, Werner Swart leading it out with Roland Ferreira, Timothy Stanton, Nico Killerman, Robbie Teenings, James Pepper, Jeff Hancock, Lewis O'Keefe, Yuri Swart Sr., Fanny Gravenstein, Arno Kraus, along with Visti Stalgrad, Hilton Nixon, and Steve Pepper rounding out the field. And what a race it was, ladies and gentlemen. Our Pro and our Pro-Am class done. But you can see how well they mixed overall in this monumental battle. And it doesn't matter where you sit, whether you're in Pro or whether you're in Pro-Am, this season is going to be one to keep an eye out for. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for joining us here for the RaceFace.Pro TCR Championship Season 3, Round 1, done and dusted here at Rudskogen Motorsenter. Good to see it. 2 heats done and dusted. We will be moving on. But next week, we will have our Formula 4s racing here at Rudskogen Motorsenter. So do keep an eye out on that. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, make sure that you go and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon, leave us a like if you enjoyed the stream, and let us know how you feel. Also, drop a comment once or twice. And if you're watching this in the future, not live, I'd like to say thank you very much for joining us. But to everyone that joined us right at the end, good to have you guys here. I see a couple of the drivers. We got Noah Hendricks jumping into the grandstand to go and have a party. But to all our spectators, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's an absolute honor to be on with you guys once again. And it's absolutely great to see that the TCR Championship Season 3 is up and going and at full swing with our 2 classes, our Pro and our Pro-Am, which I'm sure is to grow. 24 cars started. Let's see if we can make it to 30, as we saw last season for our TCRs. But to everyone out there in the grandstands, thank you so much for joining us. The drivers, the teams, and the family members. Good to have you guys here. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you for having me in your ears. And we'll see you next time right here on RaceFace.Pro. And like always, good morning, good evening, and good night, everybody.